Hi, it's a jam-packed episode this month. We do have some issues with the audio quality on our vocals, but bear with us and we'll be back to normal next month. Welcome to the April episode of Amiga Ireland. I'm Irla.
I'm Rob.
And I'm Luke.
And in today's episode, make your workbench better with some handy tools just released.
We have a quick look at Metal Gear port progress from the MSX to the Amiga.
And the new 30 accelerator has been announced.
Well, we've got our news, games sections, and one or two news sections coming out that we'll get to a little bit later. But before that, how are you doing, guys?
The usual, can't figure out where the month's gone. But yeah, been busy. Got some Solus boards out to a few beta testers now. Been busy soldering them up and watching various Amiga streams on Twitch while I'm doing that. It's my kind of my routine.
Oh, brilliant. Rob, can I ask you a question? If it's not a secret, how many beta testers have you got?
So far, 4.
Fair enough.
Not a secret. I had 4 working boards, so that's how that happened.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I have a few more boards that need rework, and they'll go out to other people now. That's the story.
I'm really looking forward to that becoming available.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I've explained to my wife that I have to buy something that might not make sense.
You need the solace in your life. You tell her, I need solace in my life, and use Gaelic instead of English.
Actually, that probably make more sense to her if I tell her that way.
Job. I'm pretty sure about that. Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, how have you been, Luke?
Right, I've been working on some sort of new hardware upgrades with my developers. Some sort of adapters, the other stuff. So that's what I've been trying to do this month.
Are they secret projects?
No, absolutely not. For example, adapters for Terrible Fire 536 for Amiga 2000, or adapter for Kickstart for Amiga 500 revision 3 and 5, and VGA to RGB adapters as well, with the so-called soften mod that makes the picture on your VGA monitor, for example BenQ, look a bit softer, because I think the adapters, the VGA to RGB adapters, look a bit of like a sharp, even though you can soften it, with your settings on your monitor. They are still in my opinion, because I've got a Commodore monitor 1086 next to my BenQ monitor. I think they look, to me at least, to my liking, they look too sharp.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a matter of preference, to be honest.
Yeah.
The CRT monitors are a Blu-rayers, if I may say like that. They've got the hard blur.
Yeah, a natural anti-aliasing. Yeah.
Oh yes, that's the thing. So I've been trying to some sort of recreate that feature.
Very good.
So yeah.
Okay, now it's time for the monthly news. Amiberry 4.1 has come out of beta and is available for download. So looking at the release notes for this is a new major release for Amiberry, and there are over 250 improvements and bug fixes, lots of them to mouse and joystick handling. For example, the Joy Division controller support is available there to handle CD32 pads. There's improvement to performance and memory management, addition of cycle exact mode, and lots of other improvements that relate to OCS, ECS color display, IDE controller, FPU. There's state saving for the CDTV, CD32, FPU bug fixes, switch to 64-bit, and lots more to check out in the show notes, in the release notes.
AROS One has had a new release. Now, this is a sort of a distro, if you like, of AROS, and this is basically for x86 machines. And so this is at version 1.5 at the moment, and it has had a few kind of core improvements, and it's sort of primarily distributed as an image for a flash drive, so you can copy it to a USB flash drive or whatever. But it's also had a lot of visual tweaks and stuff like that. Like it's got some new skins and new some new icon effects that it can apply, and so it had a bit of sort of an across the board set of a bit of a scrub up and some bug fixes and stuff all in there. But the release notes are in the show notes there as well, or a link to the release notes is there.
GoShell is an attractive full-screen shell for Amiga. It allows you to actually work on a totally different screen. It's fully configurable. It is compatible with KingCon and WinSED as well. It needs at least Amiga OS 3.0. So if you like working in a shell, because I sometimes, to be honest, prefer working in a shell, go for it, try it, and I'm sure you won't be disappointed with GoShell.
I was chatting with the developer of GoShell because I've started using it myself.
Yes, because it's really nice.
Yeah, I've put it in my WB startup now, and I just boot straight into a really clean-looking full-screen shell on its own screen, and it's really nice. Yeah, the creator is Krzysztof
Donat, yeah, Krzysztof Donat. He's got other programs as well, I think. That are pretty useful.
Yeah, and he's planning future releases already to GoShell. So yeah, if you enjoy the shell at all, it's really nice. Yeah. Now, after 12 years, just this week, Jurassic Pack diskmag is back. I just had a look at it earlier and it is absolutely gorgeous. The graphics are lovely. There are 3 lovely tunes on there. One is by Okeanos, but there's more music as well. It's well written, and they have decided they want to be a little bit different to the other diskmags. They kind of talked a bit about how the diskmags used to be way back, and they want to do something a little bit different. So this one's absolutely gorgeous. I think it's about 2.5 megabytes, so you'll need to download it onto your Amiga. You'll have to circumvent floppy. It's absolutely lovely and well worth checking out. Amiga Forever 9 has been released. So after 2 years, this is another major release of Amiga Forever. Included in this is the latest Amiga Explorer, which allows you to modify your Amiga from a Windows machine. There's also something new which is called arcade mode, and this is an attractive and comfortable way of launching games with your game controller. And there's a dark and light option, a dark mode, and some other themes as well that you can add. Now, what stood out for me in this release was actually something else, which is the automation feature. It lets you quickly run certain applications, games, or scripts using any of the models, the Amiga models or configurations that are there. So this sounds really useful, and it should mean you don't need to create a new installation just to check if, try out a new application and see does it work, or, that kind of thing. So let's say you don't want to disturb one of your existing installations. So it'll be kind of self-contained. It's a big time saver there. So I'm looking forward actually to seeing how this goes. Because I use emulation a lot, especially preparing for this podcast, trying things out quickly. So I'm hoping this could actually speed things up. In fact, in just a couple of days, a minor update will be released that'll allow you to double click on a WHD load package on your Windows desktop, and Amiga Forever will use the automation I've just been talking about to create a launcher, a dedicated launcher, with an assigned Amiga device. So there's a lot of potential there, and I know that's going to be expanded a lot over time. Now, as always, Amiga Forever made it possible to run OS 4 with ease there a while back, so that's still available. So that's just some of what's available with the new Amiga Forever 9 release, and you can go and check out the release notes for the full details.
A new batch of SAM460 CR boards was produced by A-Cube. So this was something they were talking about a little while ago, and it was a limited batch that they made. And if you're not familiar with it, it's one of the boards that's used for running OS 4. And it was the core of the sort of the next generation, what was it called? The A1500. That board was, it's kind of a small, like an entry level board to the sort of the next gen category, if you like. And they made a batch of them, and it sold out basically straight away. So they're talking about making another batch in the near future, and this is kind of, I suppose, in the same kind of market sector as the Tabor, the A1222. So, there's a bit of demand there for, entry-level OS4 machines, it seems.
What are the specs in comparison to Tabor? Do you remember, Rob? Is it like a faster board?
It's not really, no. It's like the Tabor, I think, has generally faster peripherals on it, faster RAM and the whole lot. So it would be a faster board to taper, but you know, you're talking about a similar pricing and stuff like that. So it's kind of at the more achievable end of the scale, if you like, you know, compared to the X5000. So that's the kind of thing. It's like there are no other machines in that category, and that's why that's why there's such interest.
All right. Okay. This one is really big. Revision Online 2021 has just finished. There have been like a massive amount of Amiga demos and intros. So the main competition, the Amiga Demo Compo, there were eight releases down there. So that's absolutely brilliant. The first place was a demo that was for 060 and AGA, the Martini Effect by Flex Group.
It was very impressive, and they all were. There were some very good OCS ECS demos as well, but the Martini Effect was just, you know, very, very impressive. The sheer scale of it, you know. There's a lot of what are the names? The mathematical things, the fractals. Yeah, basically, but yeah. So this demo was it had a lot of sort of fractals and 3D generated fractals and voxel space kind of stuff, and it was just, you know, it looks pretty pixely and stuff, and all that compared to like a modern PC demo or whatever. But it's an impressive bit of work, and all, of course, synchronized to pretty nice music, and all that is very, very well done. But yeah, there's some excellent demos this year, really, really good.
Yeah, the second place was a Melon design, and this is a really surprising thing because this group, as far as I remember, released its last production somewhere around 95. So after all that time, they've managed to return and release a brilliant OCS demo, Fisher Hawk.
Oh my god.
DR. And it's for OCS. That's absolutely brilliant. Another one, you know, like another return, another brilliant demo. I think last year we had, you know, like, or 2 years ago, we had, you know, like a return of Lemon Group as well. After some sort of break, and now Melon Design. Melon Design is absolutely brilliant. The style, the atmosphere again is brilliant. And the third one was Last Goat Standing by Noise, and that's again 060 AGA demo. If it comes to intros for Amiga, there have been 11 releases, and again we've got first place was Planet Disco Balls, OCS released by Planet Jazz. Then we've got 060 AGA demo, Jewel Panoply. And the last one is intro called On Fire by Software Failure. There are other releases as well. So 21 graphics released. At least half of that was for Amiga OCS ECS. I think Amiga OCS ECS is getting more attention than even AGA Amigas. So I think that says something, that people are actually more interested in releasing their works for limited machines, not only for beefed 060 Amigas. So all the demos and intros and other releases can be seen or downloaded from poet.net. So if you like demoscene, go and check it. Another place that you can actually see it and download it is demozo.org. So feel free to have a look, feel free to enjoy a little bit of art with your Amiga.
Absolutely. I just wanted to add, it's not even an Amiga thing, but the PC had a 256 byte category. So
that's right.
Demos made basically intros or animations made in a 256 byte executable, which is mental. But the one that I thought was fantastic was there was one that started off doing some random dot patterns and fractals, and then it started playing basically a rickroll to the crowd, which it thought was which was amazing in 256 bytes and a lovely pixely Rick Astley well, where we're checking out, all the videos are on the Puey.net as well.
Yeah,
or the links to the YouTube videos. Yeah,
I think there's like a YouTube channel called Revision Demo Party. That's and Revision Captures. Yeah, those are the two ones. Revision Demo Party YouTube channel and Revision Captures. And you can, if you'd like to see it quickly, but YouTube doesn't give those emotions, I think, and cuts the frame rate as well, so you don't get that full experience. But if you want to like have a glimpse at least, go to those channels and have a look. But if you don't want to spoil yourself, spoil the impression, you have to watch it on a real machine.
Now, Amiga Transfer lets you bootstrap your Amiga without floppies. What does that mean? Well, Orvales, who we know here at Amiga Ireland, has released a file and disk transfer tool which works through the serial port, and it's able to read, write and compare floppies, floppy images, install boot blocks, send and receive files and dump the Kickstart ROM. So basically you can do a whole lot of stuff with this, but unlike most serial port transfer tools, it doesn't require installing anything on the Amiga side because it uses the Kickstart ROM's debugger to control the Amiga. It's very cool, and in the screenshot actually I see he's got a really nice workbench desktop. Actually, it's quite a nice setup. So this is tested on the 1.x ROMs, so you know, if you've an Amiga 500, 1000 or CDTV, you're definitely covered there. But yeah, a very, very handy tool for anybody who needs it.
Right, so we've got another hardware announcement. This time, this is a Terrible Fire 1230 by Stephen Leary. So this is a long and awaited project, and it has been just recently announced. I'm hoping that that creates, you know, like a great opportunity for pretty cheap expansions for Amiga 1200, because 030 is a perfect machine for WHD load and some sort of, you know, like a entry-level demo scene. So hopefully this happens, actually.
Mm-hmm. I happen to know that John Hurtle is building a few of them sort of imminently.
I know that John Hurtle's been really busy with 060s, actually.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. He's essentially, it's like Stephen's solder monkey. Mm-hmm. In the last little while, anyway.
Left hand or right hand?
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Steve, for that. This is just really great.
Absolutely.
Nice. Okay, well, this one now, we've got another workbench application. This is called Dynamic Intuition Window Manager. This has been released on AmiNet and can be installed by just downloading a single file. And what it does is it'll tile your windows for you on Workbench so that you don't need to use the mouse as much. So it keeps all your windows side by side with no gaps. And as you add more, it, you know, fits them into the grid and rearranges them. So handy. The reason this is so good is, like, I have one of my Amigas is emulated, and the touchpad really is a pain. I really don't like using the touchpad on Amiga for whatever reason. It's been so much better since I installed this app, and I'm going to try it on my A1200 as well. There's an excellent GitHub page for this application, and the developer has really taken this seriously. He's got some animated GIFs showing it in action with the different options that you can use and the different settings that you can have. It's well worth looking into that. It's so highly configurable. You can set it to constrain windows, you know, within a certain region, so that maybe, you know, so it doesn't cover the menu bar on top, or, you know, maybe you don't want it to go completely to the left side. Maybe you want to keep the bit of the left clear so you can see your icons or something. You can also group sets of windows into virtual spaces so that you can switch between those. I would have, say, my system drawer open and a shell maybe, and prefs. That would be one group I'd have. And then another group I'd have would be something completely different, and I could switch back when I need them. Such a great tool. So yeah, thanks to Rasmus, by the way, who is already working on the next release. Lubricator. It's a very fast program for people who love demos. This came about because the author wanted to sort of lure people away from the convenience of YouTube to watch a demo, to try and encourage us to watch demos on our actual hardware again. But of course, as we know, YouTube is more convenient. So the developer did something really clever, like thought about, you know, what are all the points, what are all the sort of steps of getting a demo onto an actual machine, and how do I take all those pain points away? The app has is an absolute success. It looks like a cross between a lightweight web browser and an Amiga guide or something like that. By default, it takes you to a web page where you can browse demos and tools, and it's really fast. I mean, it's faster than HTML. He's come up with a clever little linking system that just makes this thing lightning fast. You click and the page loads instantly. So if you select an ADF, if you browse to, say, a page of ADS and you select an ADF, the button presents itself to write it to a floppy there and then. Or if you select an EXE, the button becomes a download button, so you can download it straight to Workbench and launch it. It's blazingly fast, and he's got support for Poet.net and AmiNet as well there. So I'm assuming once their servers are configured to support this kind of new format he has for making it so fast, it's going to be more convenient to browse and download demos on your Amiga than it will be to do it online and transfer them afterwards. So congrats to the author of that. It's fantastic.
It does sound awesome. It's something like there was a program there a little while ago, AmiMod Radio, that does a similar thing for mods, and it lets you kind of just essentially browse them like without having to go and download them and unpack them and all that kind of stuff. It just automates it all. It's just a great idea. So it's amazing to see that for the demos as well.
Yeah.
Be great for the game nights and Amiga parties when they're allowed to happen again. Okay, so every episode we're having a quick look at whatever magazines are out and about at that time. So last month we looked at Amiga Addict, and now we're going to look at the current Amiga Future. So I have this here, and it's the March-April edition, so it comes out every 2 months, and they have a very nice coverage of a lot of different stuff in this magazine. Got a couple of workshops looking at programming your Amiga in Pascal, as well as using some of the newer GUI elements that are available in OS 4. So, how to program, some pretty advanced stuff in OS 4, or pretty advanced, interfaces in OS 4. But the headline thing is basically the Mister, which is, if you're familiar with it, basically a sort of an FPGA Amiga. But the idea being that you can load loads of different cores onto it, and it can be any number of different computers. So this Mister is based on a sort of an evaluation board, or like a development board. So it's not specific to this particular machine. And then what happens is you add on extra sort of custom boards to that give you your 9-pin mouse sockets and your extra RAM, and basically you can sort of chop and change it, and you can put it in a nice little case, and they make a great little machine for your retro goodness. And so there's a review of that. There's a review of there's the update 2 of OS 4.1 final edition, and there's an article on the another replica Amiga board, which is based on the CD32. So this is a mini PC format, or ITX format motherboard, and it uses basically the CD32 chipset, and that is so it'll make a neat little AGA machine, with a brand new board and basically brand new parts other than the custom chips. So that's a there's a little bit of a write up on that. So it's a very good edition, and it's available from all the usual places, and it's basically the current edition for another little while.
Okay, well, that was the news in general. Now let's move on to the games. ArtPazz by Retream is released for AGA Amigas. This is a puzzle game, almost like a jigsaw, but there are these beautiful famous paintings in it, like Renoir, Da Vinci, Van Gogh included, as well as optional music. This has been done really well. There's a lot of finesse has been put into it. All the pieces are hidden except for one, and as you position one correctly, another piece is revealed, and so on and so forth. And it's lovely. It's different. We don't have anything like it. Now, one thing that's really novel about this is it has a multiplayer mode where when you misplace a piece, control is passed to the next player, and points are allocated based on that. So very unique, very interesting, and a breath of fresh air.
I think we talked about this a while ago. But there's a port of Metal Gear being developed for the Amiga by Hoffman, who you might know for his music creations as well as a developer. And this has been going on a while, but it is very close to being finished by the looks of things. Really looks the business. This is for the MSX version, so that'll give you an idea of the graphics that are involved. It's sort of high-end 8-bit era, if you like, and it's all about sort of covert operations, stealth operations, and dodging the line of sight of the guards, and this kind of action. And it is, it might not look all that much, but it does look impressive for an 8-bit era game. But it really, really looks like it plays incredibly. It looks like you can really get into it as a game. A lot of depth in it. Keep an eye out for that, because that should be seeing the light of day pretty soon by the looks of things.
Another game released is yet another MSX actually port, because as far as I remember, Metal Gear ported to Amigas from being ported from MSX actually. This time is a King Valley. It's a platformer from 1985 by Konami. The game actually resembles in a way Load Runner, which is actually one of my favorite games on Spectrum and C64. You go around and you just collect items, avoiding, let's say, intruders or your enemies. The action actually takes place in the Egyptian pyramids. The group that is responsible for the port is a Spanish group called MA Software. The game is written actually in Blitz Basic, so why not have a look? Looks pretty alright. Looks pretty nice.
It does actually. Looks very good, yeah.
Yeah, and it's in Blitz Basic.
Now, joining us today all the way from Wales is Andrew, aka Stormkeeper. How are you doing, Andrew? How's the weather over there?
I'm alright. It's alright. I'm not in Wales though, I'm in London.
Oh, you're in London? Where do they get Wales from?
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe it's because you get the boat from Wales every year. Okay. Nice.
Yeah, that's probably it, actually.
Okay.
But it's good to be here again.
Yeah. Welcome back. Welcome back. It's good to have you.
Thank you.
What have you been digging around for?
I'm going to start off with, hopefully I don't butcher his name, but Michael Bergseth of Amitopia interviewed the developer of a game called Boss Machine, which is an upcoming AGA game. The graphics look quite good. It says here that it's a Japanese shooter with Euro shooter roots.
It hasn't been released yet, I take it, has it?
Probably going to be later on in the year.
Fair enough. Okay, that's something to look forward to. F1 GP car set for 2021 has been released. I was very surprised to find this on Aminet. So for any fans of Jeff Crammond's Formula 1 Grand Prix, you can install this package, which gives you 10 active teams and 20 drivers from the 2021 F1 season. Now, the pack includes listings, but also graphics for the drivers, their helmets, the car color schemes and things like that. And to top it all off, it was created on a real A1200. Nice.
Galactica is a clone of a Linux game, Conquest. The goal is to dominate all planets using a cunning strategy. The game works actually on a workbench screen, and it's been written by Krzysztof Donat, which is a developer of the GoShell.
Okay, so The Beholder had a beta test stream back in March. I didn't get to see it live, unfortunately, but I did get to see some of the YouTube video, and it's looking really impressive. I've played a little of the PC versions, but I'm certainly looking forward to the C64 version coming out. Next one for me is Slayers of High Toro will be released as a box game on May the 8th. It looks like a really interesting game. If I recall correctly, I described it as a cross between Othello and Risk. So I'm going to be eventually playing a beta build of it just to see what it's like myself. So I might actually stream that one. And lastly, there is a Solus 2 under development at the moment. So I'm not too sure if you guys are familiar with the original Solus.
On a C64, yes, yeah.
That's the one. So yeah, there's been a sequel that's coming out soon as well. So that'll be something interesting to watch.
Nice finds there, Andrew.
Thank you.
Well, hopefully that was enough gaming news to keep you busy until next month. Coming up, we have our Discovery section where we talk about interesting things we've learned since the previous podcast episode. Okay, first up, Kradvati is a clone of the game Disappearing Balls from PC in 1992. The Amiga coder and musician Extend has some Amiga software and mods available for download, including this game that I found. And it was originally a PC game designed by Oleg Demin. It's an object matching game, somewhere between Jeweled and Atomics is how I describe it. And it's definitely addictive to play, and there's much more to check out on the website.
Virus X gets resurrected. The author, John Whitman, actually needs help. He's been doing nothing on his Amiga for the last 15 years, and now he's just decided that he's gonna start writing a new version of Virus X and the XVS library. So he's asking users, he's asking people if they could help him. He needs some sort of analysis, he needs some sort of testings, and that will help him actually to recreate the new version.
Has there actually been some viruses for the Amiga over the last 15 years?
There have been. I think recently there have been new viruses actually. For example, in demoscene files, from what I've heard, some new viruses actually, and the Aminet had them as well. I don't know about like the AGA Amigas, but I've heard about 68K viruses.
In a way, you kind of take it as a positive and say, well, that's just an indication of how much more interest there is in it.
It's an indication of the fact that the system is alive, I think, because viruses don't attack a dead system, a zombie. So that's in a way, positive indication.
There should be a category at revision for viruses on Amiga, I think.
Yeah, I wrote a virus once. I didn't release it, though.
It's not yet.
I have it waiting just for the 30 years waiting on the right moment.
Just keep watching the retro stocks.
Maybe the time is soon.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Okay, so there's an update video for the Mega 65 in March, and there should be some pre-orders happening later this year.
Lovely. And Amiga Future have a game cheat database with game downloads attached that I don't recall seeing before. I was actually trying to get my hands on a copy of a game called Beam Bender, which is one of those games with lasers that you have to guide, around destinations using mirrors and things like that. And I didn't find it in the usual places, but I eventually found this cheat directory included, and included there was the archive with the game. So I'm very happy. And I just realized I made this note about 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, and I haven't played the game yet, which is the whole point. So I must go and do that.
I'm just trying to think as well. Beam Bender sounds like another game. It was out on the C64 and also the Amiga at the time. I can't think of what it was called, though.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it was ported to Linux as well. I forget what it's called. And probably Windows too. Magix or something like that, was it? Or?
Yeah, so, something. Because basically I remember the C64 tune, because it's a really... it's a nice tune, and it's obviously been remixed a few times as well. If you happen to listen to Slay Radio, it gets a little bit of airplay on that sometimes. Okay, so this is also a relatively recent discovery. I found out that the demo scene has been accepted as UNESCO Cultural Heritage in Germany, which is quite interesting. It's obviously an article here if people want to read up on that. But I did find out as well, through further digging, that Finland also did the same back in 2020. So it's cool to see the demo scene actually getting recognition in more kind of mainstream culture.
Absolutely, yeah. It's very cool.
Very nice.
That's fantastic. I went off and downloaded the Jurassic Pack diskmag where they were talking about that same piece of news. So that's a coincidence. I just learned about it today from you and Jurassic Pack.
Yeah, because I actually was watching Revision myself, and also I was listening to what you guys had to say, and they had some really good demos there.
It was a very good showing in all the categories.
Yeah. But the 4K demos really impressed me, especially for all the ones with the 3D environments. You're kind of looking, thinking, how can they do that in 4K?
That's it. Impressive stuff.
Well, a discovery I had recently came from Portugal, and I got an email from a listener there, Portugal, Pedro Poyalotu. And hi, Pedro, thanks for getting in touch. So we had an episode of the podcast in the first season. It was just our 4th episode. It was called Chocolate Joystick. And it turns out our chocolate joystick melted some time back when we were changing servers, because basically the episode was clipped as quite short now for some time. So anybody who listened to that, it probably sounded like we just did 5 minutes and decided to wrap up. So yeah, so thanks to Pedro for getting in touch. So if you haven't heard that episode, now you can, because it's been repaired. And thanks again to Pedro for getting in touch. Pedro's into the classic scene and feels that, it's a good reminder that less is sometimes more. And I agree 100% with Pedro there.
Okay, so this is sort of like an incidental, I can't actually think of the right word at the moment, but basically I ended up stumbling on this one with my when I was watching some YouTube videos. The game's called 8-Bit Civilizations. It's basically a Commodore 64 version of Civilization 2. I did end up having to do a little bit of digging to try and find something more recent, because I wanted to download it at some point and see what it was like. So that was a little bit of a saga. Given where it's hosted, I'm assuming it's going to be a paid release later on, because obviously Pro Division tend to sell C64 games. So
it's impressive, though.
Lovely.
There's quite a lot goes on in all the Civilization games. It's a serious thing to squeeze into the C64.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it.
Now this one, I think I've had my socks knocked off more times in this past month than probably any other episode with kind of novel experiences and finds and things like that. THTTPD is an easy-to-use web and PHP server for Amiga. Now, I've known for a while that you could run a web server on Amiga. Bambi Amiga is a well-known example of that. But when I came across the words just download and extract, or words to that effect, I decided to give it a couple of minutes. I said, okay, you've got me. I'll give it a go. Now, it didn't work out for me. To be that easily, but it wasn't the fault of the package in the end. So there was a bit of a journey where I went searching online and I found a website by Tigra, Tygra, and I've got the link to Tigra's Amiga website here, which is chingu.asia. So Tigra has the steps for recompiling it to add support for CGI. Another feature that a web developer might be interested in. So, good job there, Tigra. So, I got in touch with Tigra to see if I needed to recompile it to get it working, but it turned out I just needed to do a few other little tweaks. So thanks, Tigra, for helping me get that up and running. It's amazing having a HTML page and a PHP page served from an Amiga 1200 and browsing it on a laptop and a phone. It was only today, literally, that I did that, and I just can't believe it. Like, it's just amazing to see. And the irony that you can serve all this rich content from a classic Amiga, but you could never browse it on one. But it's a lot of fun, and I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do with it.
There are a couple of different web servers that have been around for years on Amiga, some of them more complicated than others. But what I've always liked about them, or about the one that I was using, is that you could use AREX for the server-side scripting. And this is bonkers. It's obviously you drive a truck through the security in it, but it's it's a very it's an amazing thing to do. It's to program your web pages with AREX.
Okay, so I discovered this about a week ago. I think it was shared on the C64 webpage, or Retro Games. The people who developed the C64 Mini and all that. So they shared a video saying 3 things you can do with the C64 that aren't games. So obviously the most obvious one is you can do basic programming on it. You can actually run GEOS on it as well, believe it or not. And lastly, also said you can run CPM on it, but from what I gathered from what was being said in the video, it's actually extremely slow. But that was the case even on the original C64.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was sort of more of a just because you can kind of thing rather than any real practical use. But it's impressive that you can.
Wasn't it more aimed at the Commodore 128? Because I think that ran it a bit faster,
Yeah, I
didn't
think that ran CPM on the Z8,
Yeah.
didn't it?
Yeah, the thing is, C128 has got actually, like, it was actually marketed and advertised as 3 computers in one. You've had 128, you've had like a Spectrum in a way because of the CPM, and then you've had C64. But the CPM runs pretty alright on 128, but I think it was developed on Spectrum. And it's got, like the most applications down there, and the CPM actually runs best on that machine.
Oh, that's interesting. One thing I am surprised at is why they didn't maybe do like a C128 mini as well, because that would probably be sort of like a next logical step, wouldn't it?
The C128 is more of a sort of a curiosity and a thing for dedicated retro people. But for the mainstream people who are, after the nostalgia thing, not necessarily computer nerds, the C128 doesn't really mean anything, All they're going to be doing is playing C64 games on it anyway.
That's right. That's right. I agree with Rob.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'd say for C128 people, something like the Mister is probably a much better idea because, I don't know if the core actually exists, but that would be the way to go if it did exist.
Yeah, makes sense, because it's kind of aimed at the same market as that the Nintendo and Super Nintendo and Sega Mega Drive Mini are, but maybe just like a slight step up from that, because obviously you can do a bit more with it compared to that. Well, obviously you can hack it and get more games on it, but I think it's kind of meant as a more plug-in and play experience, isn't it?
Right, well, that was our discovery section for this month. I hope you've enjoyed that, and there's quite a few links for you to go through because it's been such a busy month. So don't forget to, if you're listening to this in your podcast app, don't forget to have a look in the description there for all the links, and you can visit the website as well. Now, this is a new section called Eyebrows. I browse, therefore I am. Lots of hard work has gone into improving the Amiga web browser Eyebrows lately, but even on an expanded Amiga, most modern sites are just too bloated to be enjoyable. That's the sad truth of it. So is browsing the web a write-off altogether on Amiga? Absolutely not. Each month, we'll bring you 1 or 2 websites worth adding to your bookmarks. This month, we have, first up, Temporary File Upload, temp.sh. This website loads in under 5 seconds on Eyebrows. It lets you upload any file from your Amiga and then gives you a link afterwards that you can share. The file limit is 2 gigabytes and there's no need to sign up. There are no pop-ups, there's no forms to fill. Just pick your file, click the upload button and you're given a link. The files remain on the server for 3 days. This is one of the most generous web services I've seen. I'll be using this instead of WeTransfer from now on, and thanks to the people at the National Shitposting Agency for making this service available.
Excellent.
The other one is the Jonathan Download. This is a... Sorry. Oh, yes!
Jonathan Dowland.
Sorry, Jonathan. Jonathan Dowland.
The first time that's happened.
This is a tech website and blog with an Amiga section, including an article on GoTech floppy emulator. We've decided to test the comment section on Eyebrows, and I can see it approved there at the bottom of the article, sent from Eyebrows on Amiga 1200. Do you remember Cami?
Yes.
She used to run some sort of like a repository of links and websites that actually work really well on Eyebrows. If I can find it for the next time, I'll just definitely add it to this new section.
Ah, fantastic. Yeah, there are some really, really good sites that work well, and I found some of those on websites like the 1 Megabyte Club and things like that. They don't all necessarily load well or load quickly, so but some sites, yeah, they load in 10 seconds, 20 seconds, and they're totally usable, and their pages load even quicker. Okay, let's move on to Ask Amiga.
Okay, so this month we have a question from Irla, actually, and it was regarding when a shell command blocks the console. So when when you type in a shell command and it doesn't return you to the prompt, so effectively you have what's for all intents and purposes, a dead window. You get output from the program maybe there, but in other shell heavy environments, you have ways and means of using the same console or the same terminal for a lot of for multiple tasks, even when they haven't released back to you. So the Amiga by default, I suppose, doesn't really do that. It's basically a shell is a single sort of one in, one out kind of system, and that's the way the standard shell has been all the way up. Now, when we got to OS 3.9, the standard shell was replaced with VinZ, and that's also available as a separate download that you can add to earlier versions of the OS. So you can download it and basically replace the shell handler with VinZ, and King Kong does the same, or does a similar kind of thing as well. So basically, it's sort of it's a testament to how modular the Amiga OS is. Really, the shell itself is handled by a handler, it's called, and you can just replace that with a different handler, and you get a different shell, and it's as simple as that. So, so if you can download and install these additional shells, but one of the key things that VinZ had, for me and for a lot of other people as well, is it had tab completion for commands, and it had that basically you can reuse the same shell window for multiple tasks. So it actually has two different ways of doing that. So the first way is to put an ampersand on the end of your command, and that will open a new console window. As far as I remember, it opens an entire new console window. The other method is to use Control Z. And, so both of these will be familiar to people who are used to a Unix style environment, or, one of the various shells that you can use there. But yeah, and a Control Z will give you a new shell process in the same window. So basically, if you launch a program and it doesn't give you any output, you can press Control Z and you get a new prompt with a new shell number, and you can use that. And when you get to the end, you type NCLI, it returns you to the previous task. So maybe that'll return in the meantime. You go back to the previous prompt, or else it'll just wait for that task to finish. But using an ampersand gives you an entirely new shell window, and so that basically if you're expecting output from the command, so that it doesn't put that all over the commands that you're typing, or you don't hold up one, but when you're typing the other. So that both options are actually there if you use one of the replacement shells. Yeah, so OS 3.1 and before don't have that, but 3.9 does, as a sort of as one of the third-party add-ons. 3.1.4 doesn't have it, but I believe there's a significant overhaul of the shell in OS 3.2, and a lot of the features that will actually come from OS 4 will be brought back into OS 3.2, and so I don't know if that's actually in it, but there will be a lot. It'll be a nicer shell to use in OS 3.2. But in the meantime, VinZ or King Kong will give you that kind of functionality and a whole lot more. It makes it so much nicer. The tab completion is is one of those things that's like, it pains me to use a computer that doesn't have it.
Yeah, I'm the same. Yeah. Okay. Great. Thanks for that, Rob. Okay. Well, that's it for this month. Thanks very much to Andrew for joining us this time around. Andrew, it was good to see you and hear from you.
Good to see you guys as well, and it's always a pleasure hanging out.
Oh no. Okay. Sorry. Never mind. So until next time.
Music was by Virtual Dimensions, Banjo Gaioli, Extend, and Dippy this time.
Feel free to get in touch at info@amigausers.ie.
And a massive thanks to Anthony Jarvis and Kenny G, who've helped with editing and distributing to date while we've worked on an automated solution. We'd likely have had to pause the show without you both, and now that the machines have come to take over, I hope you enjoy the break from the monthly grind. Thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate it.
Song of the Month is a Terrible Song Name by Banjo Guy Ollie, which came second place in the Amiga Ireland Mod Competition 2021.
Yeah, congrats, Ollie. It's a good one. Bye-bye.
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 Yeah, I was hoping I could keep it all smooth, but no. I am smooth proof. Let's see, where is
At least you are a smooth operator.